Welcome back, Sparklers, to the first episode of 2023. Now, full disclosure, we are recording this in 2022, but we have the knowledge here to give you just what you need because my guest today is Stephanie Keith. And you may remember her from an earlier podcast episode that we did. Stephanie is like the manifesting mama. I'm going to say she is one who manifests with magic. And I am going to put this on YouTube so I can show the book. She's written this book, Trust the Universe. And it's a powerful methods for positive manifestation and raising your vibration. She also has this fabulous app that we will talk about. But we're just going to talk about manifesting what you want in the new year and not just putting it on a vision board, which helps too, but we're going to share our tips and tricks for manifesting. So thank you, Stephanie, for joining me in this very busy time of year. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Kim. And I love the nickname Manifesting Mama. I need to start using that. That's good.
Yeah, I think you should. And it just came to me. So obviously it was meant to be. And you do have the most beautiful children in the entire world.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they keep me in a very high vibe state all the time because they're always
Yeah.
smiling and laughing.
Oh, well, just so people know, Stephanie has a teenager, right? She's a young
Yep.
teenager. And then two wee ones. Oh my gosh. How old are they?
3 and almost 2.
Yeah, they're a handful, I'm sure, but
Oh,
they're
yeah.
beautiful and wonderful. And let's talk about manifesting. And we did talk about it in our previous episode, but I think we need to give people who might be a little unsure of exactly how to manifest, or perhaps people who feel like, I can't do it, they can do it, but I can't do it. Let's talk about that. What do you think about, let's talk about the naysayers first, because you have been doing this for a long time. And I mean, you are a manifesting queen, manifesting mama.
Well, with the naysayers, I always just say, what do you have to lose by trying? I mean, worst case scenario, you're no worse off than you are now. Best case scenario, it actually works for you. But if you go about it with this skeptical attitude and you're thinking it's not going to work, it's not going to work because it's really what we believe and what we're focusing on that we manifest. So we're manifesting all the time. We're manifesting right now in this moment. And it's all based on a lot of it in our subconscious belief system, but also what we're focusing our energy on, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, our overall vibration. And so if you kind of have that skeptical attitude or negative attitude, you're just going to basically amplify that and manifest more of that. So I really tell people to think of it as like a scientist would. You go about it and you don't have this preconceived opinion. You try it out and you test it out and you see what happens. So
Yeah.
Keeping an open mind is definitely important. I know it can be hard, but what do you have to lose?
Right. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, what have you got to lose? And the thing is, we need people to get into that mindset of, I'm going to give this a try. I'm going to let go of those limiting beliefs. I'm going to let go of the fear. I'm going to let go of what people have told me, you can't, you can't, you can't. And I think for many people, that is the hardest thing, is to go into it. Well, yes, I'll do it as a little experiment, but I know in the back of my head, it's not going to happen. Yet you've got to get rid of that. You have to pretend. I mean, when we were kids, we all played make believe. We pretended. And I think it's really important to get into that space, that youthful space. Remember back to when you were a kid, 6, 7, 8 years old on the playground. I don't know what you were doing, but I was taking acorns and making little doll houses out of them and putting leaves on them to make dresses. Hello. I mean, if you put yourself in that make believe state, you're going to raise your vibration and then be able to manifest, right?
I mean, kids are so good at manifesting. And I do think
Yes.
that's something that we're born understanding, and we're born in this joyful, abundant state, and we're taught to ignore it, to get serious because life is hard and you have to work hard to get where you want to go. Like those are things that we're taught. That's not the natural state that we're born into. And I
No.
think you're absolutely right. Getting back into that state is something we absolutely can do. I mean, we all have it within us. We've just kind of been hardened by the world as we've gotten older. And that's something I love with my kids is it's very easy to get in that state when you're around kids that are laughing and smiling. But I think that that joy, that frequency of joy is such a key component in manifesting. So it's like they always say laughter is the best medicine, but really it's the best manifestation tool too. If you can just not take things so seriously and have a laugh and just enjoy yourself, things will attract you in such a beautiful, easy way. And just think about it like when you're out socializing. If you're really negative and hardened and you're not opening yourself up, people aren't going to
Yep.
want to communicate with you. Well, same thing for manifesting. Like nothing's going to be attracted into your space when you're putting up this wall, this barrier, you know?
Yes, I agree. In fact, what I turned to in your book, which I was telling to you before we started recording, I keep it by my computer along with a couple of other books because I want to make sure that I'm always reading something positive in the morning. And I think the thing I turned to was something about humor. One of your quotes was about, face your day with humor. And you know what? It's not always easy to do if you are stuck in something. And especially if you're trying to manifest health, which is something that I kind of work on. It's very hard if you're not feeling well to not focus on that not feeling well. And so what I do is it's there, but instead of, I do the reverse kind of thing. So if you're like a beginner manifester and you're trying to manifest and you've got in the back of your head, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can. I do the reverse. I know that that little niggling pain or whatever is in the back, but I try to move it to the back and move to the front of my mind and body, soul, the higher vibration of light. So it helps. It's just hard to do when you're in pain. I know. And
It
I
is
mean, what do you have to
hard.
say about that when you're stuck in something?
Yeah. I mean, I really think that that is why like 1 to 2% of the population is really successful and wealthy and everyone else isn't because it's not always easy. And, that's what I've noticed in researching a lot of people that have been successful is they all follow the practices of manifesting. They don't always call it that or say that, but that's what they're doing. And they have negative thoughts. They have doubt, they have fear, they have people telling them they can't do it, but they do it anyways. You know what I mean? They focus on that
Yeah,
goal anyways. They take the action anyways. And that's really the only difference between the people that are manifesting their goals and the people that aren't is those people are saying, I don't care. I'm doing it anyways. Yeah, I'm scared. Yeah, I might fail. Yeah, I don't feel good today, but I'm going to focus on what I want anyways. And everyone else just kind of gives in to those feelings or lets them, take over their mind. And next thing you know, they're going down this deep, dark tunnel. But I think once you can have awareness of it, it's really powerful because then you're making the conscious choice. Do I want to
yeah.
keep believing these thoughts or not? And I think just having that awareness, understanding what you're spending the majority of your time focusing on is going to be the first step in making a really big change.
Yeah, I think it is awareness. Awareness has been coming up with a lot of my podcast guests lately in different forms that you have to be aware. We have to be aware of our negative thoughts. We have to be aware of how we are presenting ourselves in the world. We have to be aware of what is influencing us negatively or positively and take a minute and
Right.
think about that and acknowledge what is going on.
Yeah. I mean, it is hard because it's like our subconscious mind is running the show like 95% of the time. We're kind of going through life on autopilot and our subconscious sort of takes over. But you can start to do little things to kind of shift that focus and bring awareness to some of those things. And that's the tricky thing that I've found is really making the change at the subconscious level. And something I've been really into lately is Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you've ever
Uh-huh.
followed him.
Of
Yeah, he's
course. Of
awesome.
course.
I love him. And, talking about like that theta and delta brainwave state, which is the state that we're in deep meditation, but it's also the state that we're in right when we wake up in the morning and then right before we go to bed. But when you think about it, what do most people do? And I'm guilty of it. I did this for years. First thing in the morning is I get on my phone and I'm checking my email and I'm on social media. So I'm doing that while I'm in the theta brainwave state. I'm manifesting what I'm focusing on in that state, which is
Mm,
usually stress. It's usually something horrible on the news or something that elicits, all these negative feelings. And then again, right before I would fall asleep, what would I think about? All the stressful things that happened during the day, all the things that I screwed up, and how I am dreading, going to work the next day. And so it's no wonder like I was stuck in that loop for so long because I was in my prime manifestation state, just thinking about all of these stressful things. But in those moments, if we could instead put the phone away and just, even if it's just a couple of seconds, think about our goal, think about how we want the day to go, set an intention in the morning. And then again at night, like think about something that went well. Think about what you want to happen the next day or a big goal just for a few seconds, like it could change everything. And that is what your subconscious is going to be processing then all night while you sleep. You want to end the day on a good note, start on a good note when you're in that theta brainwave state. And that's like, if people can start with that, you'll be fine. Like that's such a
yeah.
powerful thing to start with. And it doesn't take a lot of time. It's just building the habit, setting a reminder in your phone so you remember or
Yeah.
whatever, and associating your
Perfect.
morning with that.
And this is a perfect time for us to plug your app because on your app, you well, Stephanie's your your moniker is the Law of Attraction Tribe, or your overarching name for everything,
Mhm.
and it's the inner tribe. And in there, you have subliminals, and most people know what subliminals are, especially my age, because there was subliminal advertising
Mhm.
decades ago. So I think they know now. But where I use it many, many nights, I use your nighttime subliminal. And Stephanie has recorded these herself. So you're just hearing music or sounds. And then underneath, she's, saying all these wonderful affirmations that you don't hear, but your subconscious hears it. And
Yeah.
I use that, probably, 6 out of 7 nights. Sometimes I could just fall asleep, it's no problem. But, and then you have morning,
Mhm.
start your day with 2 minutes. It's so great to be able, that is something anybody could do. The other thing that I do every single day, and today I woke up, being honest, not in a sparkly place. I don't know health things, but I just give gratitude. While I am laying there, I say, thank you for this bed. Thank you for today. Thank you for my hands and fingers. And I wiggle my fingers and, toes. I think there are a lot of ways, but I don't know how many times we can tell people this, but that is so vital. The morning and the evening. And I love that you are the one who has the research. I just kind of like know these things from reading them, but I didn't do the research. So it's nice for people to have that.
Yeah. Well, and gratitude is like the easiest way to shift your mindset, to shift your vibration. And a great book for January actually is The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. It's a
Yep.
20, I forget if it's 21 or 28 days, but the whole book is about gratitude. And when you get through that practice, you're set. Like you have gratitude so ingrained. There you go. You got it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it
Isn't it
last
powerful?
January. I need to redo it again. Yes, it is so
Yep.
powerful. I have sent it to people. You just have to do it, people. I mean, you can't
Mhm.
like just look at it. You do
Right. You
have
have
to
to
do
do the
it.
practices. Yeah. But that's the good thing is she gives you tangible practices for every single day. And it really does ingrain gratitude in your life. I actually do it every January because it's that much of a game changer for me. And it's just it helps me kind of boost that habit again and make sure I'm staying on top of that. Cause that's like the best for manifesting is gratitude.
Well, I think that's great. Let's do a challenge. Everybody out there, tell us if you're going to do this. The magic. I'm going to do that in January again. Oftentimes I'll just pick it up and turn to one of the, practices, and I'll
Hmm.
figure out, okay, well, that the one I turn to right now is magic practice numbers, magic money. Yeah,
Oh
which is a
yeah.
big thing of
Love
yours.
that.
So, for
Yeah.
those of you who may be new to this and did not listen to Stephanie the first time, she has created a life she didn't need a vacation from. And that's her tagline, which I just love and adore. And yet, people will look at you and go, okay, you got it all. So now what? Now what? Right? But we are always wanting more, right? You have to, I mean,
Yeah.
that's human nature. First of all, we have expenses, and
Right.
that comes up, and we shift, right? Sometimes we shift and go, oh well, maybe this is what I want this year.
Well, yeah, look at how much you've pivoted
Yeah.
in, your career and different things that you've tried and done. And that's just life. Like we evolve and we grow and we change our mind, which is totally fine. A lot of people um aren't comfortable with that, but it's part of who we are. Like go with whatever's lighting you up in the moment. And it's true. It's like when you manifest one goal, you're going to just set the bar a little bit higher. Like it's our human nature. And when you don't, like that's the end of it. So it's like it is a lifelong process, but that's what's so cool about it. Like there is no real ending to it. And you just keep evolving. And as you learn more, you grow more. And I mean, yeah, my what I want now is totally different than what I was trying to manifest 10 years ago when I first learned about the law of attraction. And a lot of people will like, especially if you're just getting started manifesting, will put so much stress on like, well, what exactly do I want to manifest? What if I get it wrong? What if I don't know? And it's like, just manifest the next step. Like, you don't have to have your whole entire life figured out, but just think about where you want to go next, about where you want to be, maybe 6 months from now or at the
Yeah.
end of just this year. And then once you get there, you can raise the bar higher and keep going. But I love pivoting and trying new things in life. It's great.
Absolutely. And I really like what you just sort of outlined in terms of taking the first step, because so many times we don't know, well, what am I really supposed to be doing? What do I really need to do? And what I have recently done, instead of worrying about that, because even though I'm of a certain age and I've been studying this stuff, this shit, for decades and decades, I mean, and decades, I still come up against blocks. And I'm like, well, what do I really want to do? And what came to me is, oh, well, let's look at my gifts, what I'm good at. Okay. And I go, well, I'm really good at talking. I love fashion. I love being on stage. And then think about, I mean, what I'm doing, instead of going, I need to have a public speaking career. I'm just going to say, no, no, these are my gifts. This is let's use these gifts. So I have to work on just manifesting opportunities to utilize my gifts instead of being, if you're so specific, that's great too. But for those people who are a little unsure, well, how am I at 66 years old going to make $1 million? You think about it too practically. You go, well,
Hmm.
I don't have that kind of a job. Instead of just going, okay, universe, I deserve it. Give it to me now. Let's utilize my gifts. I mean, I'm not looking at it as a selfish human being. Let me have $1 million drop in my hands. But if that wants to happen too, that's
Yeah, right.
okay.
No, you take action on it. It's like you are great at talking, so you launched a podcast, and you could have sat around and thought about it for a year or two or three, and then thought, well, how is that going to help me get on stage? Or how is that going to help me make $1 million? But no, you just took action. You just started doing it. And,
Yeah.
you know, I think when you follow like what's lighting you up in that moment, everything just sort of falls into place. And, like think about a time when you've achieved something. If you go back and you look at all the steps that it took for you to get there, I guarantee there were things you couldn't have known ahead of time. You got there by just taking the action, you know? And I think too, like a thing that I always try to do that I love, like a little manifestation tip is take action if you can. If you can't, then just act as if. So like taking action, like what's something you can take action on? Well, starting a podcast. You liked talking and you love networking with people, start a podcast, take that action. But maybe you want $1 million or you want a new car or this, that, or the other, and you can't just like go and get that. So just start acting as if put yourself in the space of the version of you that already has that thing. And maybe that's test driving the car. Maybe that's finding people that are already at that level and networking. But when you start like putting yourself in that energy, it's really interesting how quickly all these walls will come down and things just start flooding you. Different opportunities just come to you.
Yes, very valid. And you do say that you talk about the car in your book too. You talk about how you would test drive before you got it. And
Mhm.
it's so important for us to visualize ourselves. And what happens, Stephanie, and we're different, demographics, obviously, but people my age sit back and go, well, that's it. That's it. How am I going to do this? Or they have the fear factor. I like to call it that fear factor. Well, I can't start a podcast. I can't go to the gym. I can't do thus and such. Damn it. I just want to tell people release that fear. Fear, brush it away.
Yeah. And don't you feel like taking action is like the best way to overcome fear?
Yes.
It's like you're always like so afraid to get started or to record that first episode. And then the second episode's easier. And then by the third episode, you're like, I've got this. It's like, just take the action, just get that fear out of the way. And you do that by taking action, right?
Yes, yes. The other thing is, so in the theatrical world, because I try to do commercials and print
Mhm.
work and I am manifesting, saying it out loud, a national commercial that will give me residual income. I am working on it. I picture myself for some reason, and I don't want to limit myself, but for some reason, the $50,000 thing
Uh-huh.
keeps coming to me, and I, I don't want to say, okay, I'm going to say that or more would be good. But I picture myself going to the studio or wherever the location is, not the audition, but the actual getting it. And I audition the hell out of stuff. I like submit all the time because one of the things that is a very famous saying in the theatrical world is you don't get 100% of the jobs you don't audition for.
It's true.
It's like life,
Hmm.
if
Yep.
you want something, you have to take action.
Hmm.
It's not just going to come to you unless
Right.
you decide you want to. And I do not get all of the auditions, but all the jobs I audition for, but that's okay because it wasn't right for me. I'll get something else. You also have to be able to, in my mind, gracefully say, that's okay. Because that
Yeah.
keeps your vibration high. You don't want to bring it down and go, oh, I didn't, do that.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing about that 1% of successful people fail all the time. We just don't hear about it. And that's something that I've learned in talking with a lot of people, like through the podcast and stuff, is before they got there, they were told no hundreds of times. Like, big actresses and people that have written all these books were rejected way more times than I've ever been
Right.
rejected in my lifetime because they went for it. They just tried over and over and over again. And it's like eventually someone's going to say yes. That's the attitude they have. And that's the attitude you have. And I love it. And that's, why you find these successful opportunities. It's like you got to get sort of comfortable with failure and knowing that it's not really failure. It's like every time you hear no, you're just closer to hearing yes. And that's all it is.
That's right. That's beautiful. And we all have heard no throughout our lifetimes. And yet, look at us. We're all still here doing things, manifesting things. And I love how you really bring the point home that we are manifesting all the time,
Oh, yeah,
even if
all
we
the
don't
time.
know it. even if
Right.
we don't know it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
But most of us are manifesting on autopilot because we're not like consciously aware of it. We're not even thinking about it. We're just going through life, like going through the motions. And it's like, no, stop and think about what you want. Like, think as big as you want, just get clear, like put some input, take some time with it, have fun. Like when you were a kid and you were pretending and imagine it, using your imagination, why not?
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, before we like close up at least my portion of this, do you have a tip that you want to give people? I mean, I think the best thing, honestly, is to read your book. Well, do the magic, join your. I sound like a commercial because I'm always in commercial. I'm not always in commercials, but I really believe in promoting things that I believe in. So when
Mhm.
I sound like I am tooting your horn, I am, but I really believe in this book. And I'll tell you because it has simplified manifesting
Yeah.
for me. And it also is such a great reminder. Shake up the energy. I mean, there are so many great things. Let's give people a manifesting tip. I mean, you already have given many, but is there something else you can think of?
Well, I think something that everyone should do is just sit down, like set the timer on your phone for 10 minutes and clear everything away. Just put your timer on, sit with a pen and a piece of paper, and for 10 minutes, repeatedly, over and over and over again, just ask yourself, what do I really want? And that sounds so easy, but
I
trust me, if
know.
you actually do that and you sit there with that question for 10 minutes, you're going to be amazed at what comes through. And that the truth is we don't do that. We're not taught that. Most of us never ask that question or at least sit with it for that long. And once you know what you want, like then you have something you can visualize, you can focus on, you can work towards. But first, you got to figure out what that is and give
Mm.
yourself some space to really dig into your subconscious and see, like, what is it that I really want? When you write down what you want, ask the question again, because I guarantee you're going to go through layers and layers before you get to the real thing that you're after.
Yeah, great practice. That's, in a sense, automatic writing because you
Yeah.
are just tuning in. And it
Hmm.
helps, I've found, to just play some music in the background that you love, very soft,
Yeah.
or bird sounds or whatever it is to kind of take you out of the here and now and let your subconscious do that writing
Hmm.
as
Yep.
well. Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing you said that I reread this morning also was, and it was writing a list, I think that was in your book, of everything that's bothering you. I mean, all the stuff you go through, something like that, and then write, and then burn it. Get rid of all that. Get rid of all the negativity or whatever is bringing you down, the stressors and all of that. It's just, we are not as people conditioned to do that. We have to train ourselves to take action, baby steps. If you really want to manifest, hey, if you're happy with your life the way it is, good for you. But
Yep.
you can
You
always
want to
have more
change, then you
happiness
got to make a change, right? Can't keep doing the same thing.
and
Yep.
expecting different results.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Stephanie. Well, I am delighted that you're here with me. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun. And I know we'll continue to stay in touch throughout the year. I'm sure
Oh,
there's going to be all sorts of commercials you're going to get. I have
yeah.
no doubt whatsoever.
And so people can find you. Tell them all where they can find you.
Yeah. So on social media, I am at Law of Attraction Tribe, and my website is thelawofattractiontribe.com. And then the app, you can get it in the App Store in Apple or Google, and it's called Manifest It Now.
Yeah, that app is really fabulous. I
Thank
mean, you
you.
can get a free version and then you can join the inner tribe, which is the best. So,
Oh,
highly
thank you.
recommend that. Anyway. All right, well, sparklers, thank you, thank you. I wish everybody a fabulous, happy, sparkling, manifesting new year. And you know what? Let us know how that manifesting goes. Yeah? Right. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you so much. Bye,
Shine on,
everyone.
everybody. Yeah, shine on.